Welcome to a Dungeon Master. We are now in the interim of the Library of Congress, on which we have worked as Dungeon Master Guild member. On Within Our Gates, as you remember, the first African-American silent film, now pristine print, which we may have a dungeon through there, but we may refrain, especially because of these D.W. Griffith remnants at the Library of Congress Restoration Guild. And oh, is it important that we stake so much upon them and their help towards us, and their being in guide and strength and everything that's great about them. Now, I don't know how this dungeon precisely works, but there are commercials. Everybody get a bite. It's big enough to get a bite. Now, we're done with that commercial, but we're on to a chain of dungeons that are interconnected and have a lot to do with the history of cinema, which excavating cinema history is one of the things the mirror lamp was built for. And I don't think we go over the cinema history well enough in this particular Dungeon Master game, because we play with the bells as the bells ring, as they say. And as we play with the bells as they say, the bells ring and they play. And they're having what looks like a wedding. I'm going to go in deeper and say this is really what the shot was meant to look like. And he's picking it up. And now we have like this spy cam on this young couple walking by. And oh, excuse me, there are the other leaves. For the site that I'm running it is kind of important, but that it's somewhere else is great. But it's all serving the purpose of bringing the silent classics back to life, especially the ones that were near lost in the restoration games of 2008, where every film was supposed to be restored by then, or else they'd lose 15,000, which they only lost 14,039.61. That is overdash 39.61. Could you please replay that scene again? This is the same shot twice. This is the same shot twice. This is the same shot twice. And you can see why the Library of Congress loves these films a lot. So I just want you to know, I mean, we can get to. We can go right to some films over here. I'm telling you, we've got it made. If we were to go to the bottom of this, maybe. Wow, there's a lot of things in this that really make me wonder. But it's not gonna be until we.
Now we gotta go bye-bye.
You know what I think? I think we're listening to some backwards soundtrack of some ploy to see what it sounds like in the Headless Gravel in Amsterdam, which is a church, a dentist, and Arthur is really within boundaries. He is an excellent man at his scientific fields and knows how to make one feel like he's remembered forever. And I'm going to go back up the screen and see the Buster Keaton rhyme going on, and that was cool. Not Buster Rhymes, but now we must look at how Library of Congress, and we have this film. We must now save it in the silent screen, which it is, and we just didn't slam dunk it yet. But if you look at this, this is the most pristine print of this film that they could possibly get. This is 1919 Within Our Gates, the first African-American. It has been on Dungeon Master on occasion. That we had the shootout scene from this on one authentication of this film in our presence and on Dungeon Master means that these guys are at the treasury of the dungeon and are mashing up the loot. And if they're going to do that, we're going to hang in there for a while because we've got time, we've got energy. Hey, everybody come to this energy. We're going to have us a day on Dungeon Master. Can you tell me how you feel? Is the world around us real or
described it for our imagination. Dungeon Master, is this really your film or is it someone else's film? The kids are dancing, the children are romancing, everyone's saying it's ill. And I've got a reason to tell you that this is the Dungeon Master game. Every time I sit this bench, there's always quite a dame. All right. Your turn, Dungeon Master.
All right. Then when Dungeon Master came wandering down the street, he had a pretty girlfriend that he just had to meet. And that was when they knew each other were gonna have the blues. 'Cause once in a while, after all, men snore just like women snooze. Oh, this is terrible. I can't believe we're mincing up this treasury of knowledge of cinema, which actually is, if you watch and pay attention to this, you can get just about every shot you need for film, and that Griffith had used some of this film mapping for Broken Blossoms was not accidental, but that by then Griffith was paying for all the United Artists films of 1919, the year the studio opened, with his cohorts Charlie Chaplin et al. And now we have a frog that is... No, it's a woman waking up. She's not obscure to her cure, which is the love of a man, which in at least this one, everybody's not wearing those cat masks we saw at the Cat Crusaders earlier. That makes us all scared. But what do we have here? We have a strange way of catching up on where we lost time on even this movie, because it looks like there's even more scenes bent into this one than the old one, which makes us wander back and look at this timeline, particularly as it goes. It looks similar. That part looks a little different. This part. Did we see this part in the original Within Our Gates? That's the name of the game. Was this part really in the original? Or was it part of the new restoration that I keep getting inboxed, and then lo and behold, I'll turn it into a Criterion film? In fact, I could have got it from my Criterion list, and I'm about to, but I have to see this scene, and if there's any other scenes, because we have to check this video. And this just might take some time, and I can't promise a level up, but we'll do something technically worth it. That scene doesn't look familiar. That scene does. So there was a deleted scene. Looks familiar. I know this movie. Let's see, what was that? That looks familiar. I know this. Oh, this is where it ends differently back here. This is all new. I have not seen this ending, and we've seen some of it already, and I don't want to give away what we've already seen, because by then it will look way different anyway, and you'll have to admire my technical difficulties of manning the control of the game, which is keeping us afloat in Dungeon Master, is it not? And if you have to visit a new scene from the movie, well, inquire less about my Criterion drop, because it's the same exact print as this print, the most pristine print of Library of Congress, print of all time, the Within Our Gates print, which they've promised to me as a Criterion epic that I can always revive with my unusual Criterion powers that this film always gets a hunch for, and it's because it's such a great movie, and you can't really deny that it's one of the greatest movies. And I'm just gonna have to lay down and go to sleep while I watch this, man, because nothing could be cuter than that puppy in that chick's hand. That is kind of new, but that was also something that was in the film. This was in the film. That guy with the sword, I think, was in the film. Does she escape him? I hope so, because what a way to die. Oh, this is where they all kind of riot and get crazy, but this seems kind of new, because I don't remember seeing this in the Criterion version, but I guess mine has this in it. My version of this film that I lent out, I hadn't seen it in a while, the update. as a whole new scene. Everybody catching that? It's going to be important someday to learn that. You'll be in field school and you'll think, well, I'm glad I got my within our gates down, because I thought it was different in every context and pretext and vortex it was ever shared with. So now we see, and I have to go face to the wall to do this. I know what you're thinking at home. Why does this spaceship take so hard to fly? Now, we come up here, we go back down here. We're almost out of the ordinarily hard zone to be in, because that was a different version of Within Our Gates. Then we have this loop here, which will carry us there. Well, now we can go home to YouTube, and that will take us here, and now we can grab on to this wheel. Sorry, this is technical difficulties, of course. And now we go with just plain the boss. We'll type in the boss's name. Yeah, we all know who governs this universe, right? Sorry to all the sponsors about going late, but we're going to find it. We're going to get this. There's the delete. It's very quiet in here. Very, very quiet. And all I was trying to do was this. Oh, look, it's that movie. Where'd it go? Yeah. Oh, the speaker needs to put back on, but it's a really interesting movie. I like it. It's a flashy movie. All right, we'll go down here. And we look in. There's an album I got to cut later. This is Dungeon Master, so what are we doing? Oh. Now, if I were to go to the playlist list, these mini stacks of these nice new films that I released that weren't by me, so it's taken a little ego off of me for a while. But I re-released most of these as Criterion. I don't know if only a couple of them weren't Criterion before I made them that way, but almost 90% of all of them were already Criterion, and then there's like 4 or 5 that are new. So it's like, maybe there's like more like a fifth or whatever. I know you got to be good with those fractions, when you're doing these shows, but I'm telling you, it plays out to be like a fifth of the Criterion on here were ones that I recommended. The rest of them I got replanted on here. Now we go to the Criterions on here, and we see there is a Criterion for Sin City. There's a Criterion for Within Our Gates. That's what we're looking for. We'd have more chance of seeing the version that we made. And now we got a commercial. Oh, this is full-scale Dungeon Master control. It took you too long, and we almost had to kick you off your own computer. It was getting so boring watching you, Dungeon Master. Can you at least keep me going? And ooh, what's that? Such a nice thing added. Such that, many kudos to Aaron Sheely for having this nice little facelift done to the movie. What is this, though? Is this Within Our Gates? This is the version I remember. This is a little different than the version we just saw. No, we did see this part and ran a frown. I don't know if that scene's ever been so well harnessed, but is this where we left off anyway? Or is this early in the film? Or is this where it has to be where we left off earlier? No, it's right here. I don't think this is the same scene. No, it's not. Do we match these later in some similar circumstance? I'm not so sure that was the same movie. And this Within Our Gates is already traversely different. What would the audience want me to do? I must return to the stereo. We must have a bit of music. Not so we can just compare these versions and how cynical and skeptical it both is to have those versions. and we will chase through to the... Thank you, stereo.
Inserting tape B.
Hello, my friends. This has been quite the dungeon. It looks like it's back to the same dungeon we had a while ago, except now the picture got really big, and now we've got a close-up of a passed-around film. I've passed around this film more than anyone. I passed it around museums. I passed it around the library system. I passed it around YouTube, and it passed back to me, and I still pass it as a criterion. And you can kind of see from this Library of Congress print the Criterion's intervention with it to make it even more solid. Like the graininess of the film is now seen in the maelstrom of images. And you look at this and you say, Dungeon Master. Can you really go this way, Dungeon Master? Are there really things that you can look at that are quite as interesting in Dungeon Master as anywhere else? I mean, to think some people gave up on this level when we went boop-de-boo on the side and just dropped a phone and your mirror lamp went out and everything's black and I can't type up enough of the long story to give you laters. And the next thing I know, there's a train or something with a big light outside, and you're just more impressed with that than even the fast I can run. Look, this isn't Dunshin Endelou. There's got to be a point to this. But the firefighters are here, just like the American firemen that invented editing by going up a rope, and then halfway up the rope they accidentally cut the frame till then, and it looked like he climbed it himself, like he was still climbing the right rope. Continuity error none. American Fireman came, the great first cut of cinema history. And this movie is the first great movie of cinema history, really, in so many ways. I mean, if you're getting stoned like me, you're going to get stoned like the characters in this film. Do you believe me that the characters in this film get stoned? And we've done one like this? We've done one like this. Did we use within our gates in the movie already? Yeah, we did. So we're going to have to skip over at least to the part. Well, to see, excuse me, I just got stoned. I smoked some White Widow in that smoker. It was good. Are you seeing the pictures? Is anything new in that? Looks like a different movie, doesn't it? And that part looks the same. It's like their houses are nicer in this version. Hang on. We're going to have to do some testing here. This is testing for the Library of Congress to see if all these scenes made it into within our gates from the issue I have and the issue you have, which are both manufactured by the Library of Congress. How is it that I'm having discrepancies of images in each one? Am I overlapping them just so coordinatively that I'm missing the exact scene that follows the first? Or are these two versions just like we're finding out every film has 2 versions, 3 versions, 4 versions, 5 versions, do I hear 6 versions? Star Wars has 66 versions, one for all countries, and that's why it's at Order X66, Execute Order 66. You know, as spooky as it may seem that this has scenes that aren't in the version, this is my Criterion version. The one to try to make it kind of, okay, like this. What is this? Hang on, I'm seeing things here. There's something in the movie that's not really in the movie, but it is. That last one certainly does. I don't remember a scene like this. Now, those stereotypes are kind of reeking out, but I think the black guy had a reason for using them, you know. I think Oscar Michaud, being black, he had a way to use that. And I think that Oscar Michaud is the great and powerful and can do no wrong, so I'm not going to say he did any wrong. Man, I got stoned. A coughing stone, like it opens up the capillaries. You don't cough till you get off. Jeez, man, you don't get off until you cough. Whoa. I still believe in you, Oscar Michaud. I haven't seen this scene, but there might be some more. This one was not on it. Oh yeah, that one was kind of on it. I don't know where I'm getting these different copies, but
This is a pretty good way to tune out from this one and go on to the next, because we're not done with
Dungeon Master 68 or 69, depending on which one we forgot about, before or after this. Which leads me into my final praise for Within Our Gates. Before or after this did we have civil rights gain? Oh, after? I thought it was way after, in 1960. Now, if we're living by Starship Atlantis time, then the final exit of racism, classism, and sexism are to be finally abolished in the year 3000. Well, that's a little later than I had planned, but can we push it back a little later? You see, I have some friends that are from the archipelago, and they want to know that you're safe, and they want to know if they can help, and I mean, you seem safe. It doesn't seem like anything's going on bad around you, right? Like you don't have any fears or juxtapositions or worries about your show. Sorry, I'm becoming a Hey, can you actually ask Dungeon Master one of those analytic questions? All right, Dungeon Master, do you think it's more important for us to follow a version of Orson Welles' Mars Attacks on the Alien Show on Everyday Progress on my Starship Atlantis book? Audience shakes its head, yeah. Alright, well, before we can bliss too much over this, which I'm getting bliss from the last scene of this, are you not? I mean, this is like, whoa. Now, that it was Criterion were cool. Well, it seems like, and I'm not one to talk, but if we go here, and then to here, that's the, okay, now, 111,121, that's pretty cool. That's a lot of numbers. Now, if we were to go to the playlists again, oh, I've got a cool idea. Let's go back to... Sorry, that was major technical difficulty. If you're still swinging with us, Dungeon Master will be back in like 30 seconds. Be back in 30 seconds. This is a difficult one to find. Well, it seems somehow... Oh, I get it. We have to go to this one. Commonly, as they say, we have to do this one, and it has to be... another one that I criterionized. Wait. We have to get out of here. This is still a technical difficulty, folks. I know you're all blurring out the screen and making kissy kiss noises at the camera, and that you're all making no point as to whatsoever as where I'm supposed to go. And then up here I see that there's a menu so down below. And the menu in my destination isn't found until I see the Dead Telluritis? No. How foolish I was to not know where the silence were. So I found the Library of Congress is what I looked for, and there it is. Now we must wander through the Library of Congress again so we can find another movie that we have submitted to it for encircling. And I'm sorry our computer took too long to load, and everything is fine now. And we must run even this aground to the point of being at the Library of Congress, which is the whole point of that teaser before the silent archive is considered.
that, we have a movie coming up that I really like the idea of. It'll shake your bones, of the last Chic movie, and it will follow us into more details of the great Rudolph Valentino, which we need to do a character study of him. And now we see we have clips. Oh, I got so stoned I couldn't find myself. One back. This we can do for a moment. We can jump from tail to tail. And if we jump from tail to tail, we will not catch the whale. And if we catch the whale, we will not catch the whale. And it looks just like Judith of Bethulia, but it's been her by Freddie Blow, 1925. And you're gonna have to take the silent film course where you know all of this has to be the meal. 10 Commandments was really kind of chintzy, and I didn't think he spent enough of Hollywood's money going bankrupt. And there's the poorest, richest man that lived till Andy Warhol. Cross-class fantasies are in my make. Oh, sorry, I was chanting Dungeon Master. Is this still Dungeon Master, or did he call it something else? Because, like, if we make a movie out of this, and I was thinking, well, they'd just take another couple of reels. What do you say, Dungeon Master?
I can see where you're coming from on this, and that we have footage to share here with others. And yes, we have been through some hard dungeons, and yes, that was the biggest bump in technical difficulty we've ever had. And if we keep having technical difficulties like that, the whole show could sink, and everything else could be rising in front of us as this new wave to watch Charlie Chaplin movies. And if all we do is in the airlock is watch Charlie Chaplin movies, then I'm going to say Ground Controller Major Tom, Charlie Chaplin has landed. So we thank you for this freshness of spirit, this freshness of soul that you've come for today, and that you've been with us, and that we've told you about these movies in Masterclass, but you just weren't paying attention to us. Dungeon Master needs no Masterclass to be called Dungeon Master, does he? No, the Dungeon Master Guild, and that doesn't matter. I'm taking the Master's class. I'm taking it. I'm humbling myself as one of Aaron's pseudonyms, or whatever he calls me. Even though I do all the work around here. And everybody steals it from actually Dungeon Master, so if you think you're stealing it from Aaron, well, you're stealing it from me, and I'm pissed that you're stealing it from me just because you think it's him writing it. Right, everybody steals my shit anyway. Hang on. Alright, so this is the Three Ages. A different kind of silent film, man. I don't know that these are by any more means the silent films. Yes, they are. There's Buster Keaton with a mullet. Buster Keaton with a mullet. Everybody. This is that Southern Train. Southern Train come home to mama. That's kind of sad to happen to a Confederate train. Wait, that was the one coming from the north, you could tell. So we're alright, as long as we're fighting for the South and still going after they biffed it off the tail road. Dungeon Master. What else can we rustle up in these excellent, curious clips? They seem so perfect for a Dungeon Master near to make a level up, but then bumble your way off the level up like it never happened. And then that music is insatiable, Dungeon Master. Have you thought anything about, expanding your CD collection to like maybe some more of your own CDs? Maybe then I'll be impressed that you make CDs when you catch up on how many you need to make. I mean, look, you're sitting right next to the Beast of Burden right here. You could do a lot better at this, Dungeon Master. You're labeling with tracks and numbers and albums is always screwed up. You need an assistant because you keep getting blurry. And I don't mean to put you on my list of complaints, Dungeon Master, but you're never focused on the screen when I'm talking to you. And if you could just for once, Dungeon Master reappears as Nosferatu. Nosferatu is in the frame, and he's coming to find his virgin bride. And I can't believe I almost changed away from Nosferatu. The Satanic Bible would have rendered me cursed forever if I had gone away from Nosferatu. The Cabinet of Dr. Caligari that we can watch. That will be okay. But oh, that was a close one back there. And we can go with Cabinet of Dr. Caligari. We don't really question what's over here. It'll be a good screening, my friends and all. Come with us to this movie excitement of everything the silent movie era shares with our hearts and souls, and beings others, and coming back longer, and enjoying the film before it gets burned off the internet forever, but not on my watch. And this is an interesting clip show. And for advantage to be in this clip show, this is a Méliès moment almost, or a fool moment. A trip to the moon Méliès. It does look like a colored frame of it. That they did try to make a colored version of this around the same time is true, but I don't know if they ever knew quite what to do. And that was the motorbike that will be winning the race tonight over on the Shire District campus in Harmony. That looks like an eye looking at me. There's spraying paint all over the hall. And the milky moon drinks an orangey juice. And he is watching that Le Jeté vision in Metropolis, which runs you through the back and forth. The back and forth through time, which is always uninterrupted in Reverb Nation. Do you know what Reverb Nation holds? There's a person there that looms at the top, and she hits everything Reverb Nation needs, and I cannot speak of her holy name. It is far too intrinsic to my own items of desire that I would even be able to say hi to her at all at this point. Is such a sham because of how I have never approached her or seen her, and I have not shared any time with her, but I still feel like I want to be with her. And that's the most romantic thing about the Enchantress, I've got to say. And now that we're on cartoons again, well, that reminds me, this one's not really a cartoon, is it? Yeah, I think so. Too much motion camera. We got this cartoon, though. No, there's Hexen again. That's that one that was different every time, too. Ooh, that was pretty swipey. There's that devil, that old Beat Burden. And he couldn't. Here we go. This actually goes good with the music. And anyway, Reverb Nation's all conquered and everything. Well, I got the skills enough to get to Reverb Nation number, it was about 961. That means we started out at 999. We made it up to 961. We're getting there. We're getting there. The other guys in the top 10, I don't even know. They're just untouchables, man. So that's the Reverb Nation. Just to gauge it a little bit, how I even got to 396 without any publicity, I don't know. Now we look at the swirl of the abstract avant-garde movies we have seen too. And this is like a best of Dungeon Master without even knowing it. That all of these scenes have prowsed their way onto Dungeon Master one of a sort. And now we've got this whole clearing of everything we needed for Dungeon Master and more. And now we lead you through the catacombs of this dungeon maze. We've got to see it to believe it. And that leaves us quite a ways out. It leaves us quite a ways out. But not really so much so in what we need. And now this scene I've got to blurt out because it's a scene from a movie that's not to be allowed to be played anymore, although they're anti-Russian in their Russian theme, and we should just rush past that. This we can watch a little bit of, but not much because there's Klansmen in it. The Trick Cyclist. It's an Edison movie. I didn't want to see it. Edison movie. Now Méliès is making this, and I'm liking this. We've got a Slumber Here. Slumber Here. The Great Train Robbery. This is a really nice museum of the silent era. I really like what you've done for my Dungeon Master episode, Silent Era. But these shots were beautiful. This was a beautiful tracking shot. And I can't get over how eventually we're all going to curl up in our beds and wonder, did Poor White Trash finish his album last night? Which really is in the works, but Starship Atlantis is here too, and I don't know, I'm juggling the works, guys. Dungeon Master, any questions? Well, if I could say, I was looking more forward to Heathen by Poor White Trash than Dungeon Master 69. However, I've been noticing that there was a Dungeon Master 68, perhaps even, which led me to believe that there'd been so many Poor White Trash recordings that we definitely have to go slam banging on the end of the Poor White Trash after a Dungeon Master, because I just gotta have a Dungeon Master, and it's just gotta go longer than an hour. So I'm gonna suggest this to everyone. Pause your game, count to 10, get some water, drink some water, unpause your game, unpause your game, unpause your game. What? Oh, they can't hear this. They paused it. Wait, don't pause your game yet if you already have. Now pause your game. No, before you pause your game, count to 5 after you pause your game and unpause your game. Okay, ready to go. Pause. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, everybody unpaused that time at the same time. I wasn't pausing, no. I could tell you I'll pause and unpause at the same time. Wasn't that trippy? It's like having 5 seconds deleted from your film, and you don't even did it yourself. Because then it comes back to this screen, and you're like, well, I was pausing it, but he wasn't. No wonder it didn't work. Did work. Did work. Setting up a house again. Something gonna funny happen when. Now, I know he's got everything going on as far as an actor, but Buster Keaton really is about to launch one right through this freaking wooden barrel that he's working on. He's smacking down pieces of nails. This makes no sense. That's Buster Keaton. I can't tell him from Charlie Chaplin or Harold Lloyd. They look the same from a long shot. No, they look way different. Charlie Chaplin looks like the poor one. And he was probably the richest one. I know. He was probably the richest one. Alright, now we need to find something out here. Next up. Sorry, we are illustrating a host of technical difficulties. Please wait with us as we get down to the right list. Now that these are all listed out, we're going to do the one last thing here, and this will carry us home. As long as Vagabond Prince is still good with us, and we're good with YouTube, and we haven't done anything YouTube has told us not to, and we'll show up on Facebook eventually too, you know. But this is it. This is what you need to see. It's a film I made. I'm Aaron Sheely. I'm taking credit for all my films right now just for a while, except the ones I gave away credit for. Now, as I'm looking through these images, I'm seeing a film I built called Pantheon, which has, like these Dungeon Masters, many silent films strewn together. And I think Pantheon's a worthy film to do a Dungeon Master on, don't you? Because look, Pantheon's 1 hour and 7 minutes, and it's a silent film that I made. I put all of these silent films in edited order and gave them each a minute and posted each one a minute after the other on the scene they would have been on, timed to the minute they came on. It was the perfect plan, and that's what this does. Now if you'll journey with me into
the film and you see the spectacle, that was real. And then you take one more destiny apart from all, and then you see something the rest of us are here to fall. And that I can't even specify what even comes what may, a longing there, a certitude, a synergy array. I don't think we really know the meaning of film and desire until we've seen these films through another kind of mirror lamp migration to the mirror phase. That the silent films make for good dungeons, but regular ones do too. I can only say that the public domain has lent me more options with the silent era, even in the extreme cases of hard-to-find silent era. Though I was able to find Never-Ending Story for Criterion, and that was because they had already put it on Criterion for me long before, for Seren, actually. And that's what I don't get about this, is we're sitting here looking at the Pantheon, and it certainly seems like a lot of esoteric films. Esoteric is all you can say about this last 20 minutes of the show. You really mean you're going to make a movie an hour long this time? Do you really know what you're doing? Do you know what you're doing? Because here we are in minute 41, the action stopped happening. I mean, there's no more word cliffhangers. There aren't aliens on the moon, thank you. And that now everything's a melodrama. What are we, Little House on the Prairie Land? And I didn't say you could just come in here and throw True Heart Susie in the mix with all these silent films that you going on. Most of it's intertitles. You could have timed it better so it wasn't any intertitles, couldn't you? You could have gone for all the small intertitle scenes, marked them all out, and then put them on there, man. Next time, do better. Well, that skipped out of the scene quite immediately. This is a beautiful recap of how the magic box in the sky sees everything. And if you're not liking it, then you're not watching it, because he's got the whole crew going on. He got the whole crew going on. Hey, look, everybody. Everybody's smoking a cigarette while they're crossing the plains of the Delaware. No, these are the plains of the Shawcraw. No, these are the plains of the Isles. These are the plains of the Wookerah. These are the plains of the Miles. These are the plains of the Deodara. These are the plains of the North. And these are the plains of a simple wave stream to be the plains of yours. You got any planes, baby? All right, here we go. We're going up this way, this wave cast. Now that we crossed the Red Sea, I don't know, but that's kind of what it's looking like. Votes on, did we cross the Red Sea? Because we weren't exactly on the side of an ocean. Right now we are. We weren't 5 seconds earlier. What, did the tide come in? Whoa, the whole ocean appeared. Or did we just edit it together to look that way? And now, why does this guy have hat here? Of all, okay, he's wearing a hat. Oh, man. I don't know how I like this amalgamation of history respondent in Pantheon as though it's lasting more than a minute between films. Like it's one big film. Like it's one grand narrative. Kind of like Dungeon Master. Dungeon Master does alert everyone to realize that this series is under the bane of exposure of Wizards of the Coast, though. I be a member and Aaron be a member. We are working our way up, and we brought some. Wizards of the Coast have so nicely decided to pay the LucasArts goal of reaching a certain number so they can reopen and reactivate the video game interactive and movie portion of that. But really, you can turn the sound up and down now to see how this too is interactive media. Multimedia is always interactive. And I just want to know if there's anyone who objects with the level that we put you all in, which is all of it in Dungeon Master. So we thank Lucas Games for letting us Dungeon Mastery. And then there's more to the mastery. There's more. But for now we'll leave it at that, because that seems to be about the level where Dungeon Master needs to be. And it won't be until the end of all endings of Dungeon Master that we tell you how to watch the show the second time, instead of as they all come out as one long film, which they will be represented as one long film. And it's all part of the Grand Dungeon, and this is how we do it. But I don't know what this is a picture of, do you? Oh, it's Pantheon. I was like, what am I looking at? And it's a beautiful, beautiful film I've made here, Pantheon. I can't believe it. It's not even dodgy like my other films. And it's a total stock footage film. It's one of my best ideas I've ever had. This cheers me up. This dungeon wasn't that hard. We came to the Aaron Sheely Presents Pantheon dungeon, and now I even forgot what I was all stressed out about with college and everything. Dungeon Master does know that it's looking like in the Nostradamus prophecy that Dungeon Master 112 might be the terminus. It's definitely worth a shot. It'll definitely not all be on hour-long intervals. Most of it are 20-minute intervals. But man, we had fun today. We're learning, and there's people walking around, and Dungeon Master likes this level. He says it's less problematic with all the other codes, even with that strange spear that guy's handling. And the codes weren't very egalitarian, were they? These are things we're finding out on Pantheon, which shows a different angle of how the explosive cinema of the early days of the silent era have taken over and gone to full. I don't think Dungeon Master usually comes this far out. I don't think Dungeon Master usually grabs on to the things that he needs to hold on to. Like, when I joined this company with Aaron, and he was the only one running it, and then a bunch of ghosts came out of the mirror, and they were ghosts for real, and they were working for Wizards of the Coast, so they were coast ghosts, Aaron was telling me. So I talked to Dungeon Master, and he was automatically telling me to take a pair of dice. And by the way, I'm George Lucas's brother, Jim Lucas, and I come to talk about his films on a recent basis because everyone's seen all of them, or he'll kick your ass and call you stupid. Because if you don't see all of them and see the whole thing, then you won't know it in context. You'll be lost next time, so you might as well not even be a fan. He'll tell you, but I have a different theory. I say I only watch up to this one so I don't have to hear myself speak, because I'm really shy to my own voice, and I know my brother can tell you he can speak in so many amazing ways, but I don't know if Lucas Games fully got repaired from what Wizards of the Coast just sent us, but I think we can turn back on the droids and have the old video games work. I'll go wake up George and... No, not with a kiss. Jeez, what are you talking about? Josh, you guys are mean. Anyway, you better get to watching some Aaron films, because he's going to be pissed if there's nothing on Dungeon Master tomorrow. He'll be like looking around going, where's Dungeon Master? Even in a sicker voice than Dungeon Master makes. I mean, he'd be like, where is my copy of Dungeon Master? Did YouTube finally sell it? Or did I miss the record button the whole time? Or did I have to redo it like I almost did this one? This one had raunchy technical difficulties, and here we are. Just all sitting around and cheering for... Oh, nice score. 49 minutes. Where was I? You mean I was in the bathroom for that long? Dungeon Master only went to the bathroom for 5 minutes and you got... Wow, what did we come back to? And what is this called? Hang on, it's called Pantheon. Well, why is it called the Pantheon? Because these are imprints of the faces of the movie stars of the 1920s of silent cinema, of the movie screen. Now, you have to understand all of these things function together, and work real nicely, and then you get a hump on your back and throw everything up the stairs, so that's cool. Alright, well, I gotta tell you, guys, did you realize we had gone through dungeon after dungeon after dungeon after dungeon after dungeon, and all we can find is the twin brother of who? Does anybody remember? Oh, I don't know. Some guy was here claiming to be... Oh, the twin brother of George Lucas was here. Well, this one's not exactly a George Lucas episode, but all of them are. But I don't know if he likes silent films, but boring melodramas, even cut together in kind of a Frisco way. He loves those too, and he loves all the obscure films we showed in this. So I'm not counting him out of the whole series, after all. I was just going to buy his company when it was low priced. Now they've got all these engineers from Wizards of the Coast pouring out their insatiable gold pieces, drenching LucasArts with some mangled reward for being involved at all. And that brings us to Pantheon Continues. And if you see any reason for coming back to the center of the frame, just remember that this is Dungeon Master 69. Dungeon Master 69. I looked it up. 68 had already played. Yes, 68 has already played. It's 69, dude. I'm telling you. 69, dude. It's like if you were going into the past and I was going into the future, we met up, and I asked you what number you were thinking of. What is it? 69, dude. See? We are in the present. That's how we knew that joke. Dude. So that time travel shit's real, man. Like, it really gets me back into how these images come. These people come to life with those hats all the time. I think they're at the world's first In-N-Out burger or something. Oh, that's a terrible joke because there's camels and... Dude, that was an innocent joke, but... Where are we? Is this Middle East, bro? Pantheon, you are still on Dungeon Master. And I love the soundtrack in the background, too. Pantheon, you're my soundtrack wonder faster. Disillusionment. Going over to the stereo. Going over to the stereo. We must find a balance between the young children screaming on the CD.
Never mind the distractions that I saw in the way. The dog to Chinatown. Never mind the disastrous counter in school. They were reading to me in the shower near the pool.
Oh, I was going to say my infamous line while all the stereo was being adjusted. Apparently there's bonus tracks on Vagabond Prince. Okay, we're learning something new that come after the real childish stuff in the middle on most of the CDs, which is supposed to happen that way. So, very good on Dead Telluritis Creamful. Now we are getting so loud. We might have to deuce the dial. We might have to deuce the dial. Deucing the dial? Still good. Still good. I like the amplifications, but we must be able to describe the dungeon. And as I describe the dungeon, you either imagine it like the screen shows it, or it just helps you imagine where you are placed in your character. That you'll be needing to keep a journal, as level 5 would say, to keep track of where your character's at, with his hit point, strength, and endurance, and all that. Charisma, dexterity, intelligence. All of those things, and which dungeons he's been through all of.
which rolling of the dice he made it, which treasures he's found, and what he decided to do in the dungeon, and how he did on the boss battle and monster battle. And if you can keep track of all that and the map that you've been on, you'll have to draw your own map. Then you're ready to play. And now that you're ready to play, we're already way ahead of the game because we got you 69 video games for you. 69 video games for you. 69 video games for you. We don't know if this is a game anymore. We must now settle. Totally dragged me.
Jeez, this equalizer business is so dumb. I mean, with this big gun, I'm not to become an idiot who saves people's lives.
We have come then to the end of a different kind of music, Vagabond Prince, which we have selected. We have so selected the Vagabond Prince. And now we must follow this as we go to the dead. Tell your riders satanic ink. Incorporated. I know you're all loving this movie, but I have to do something right now. I have to trade the value. Now look at what we've got here. DreamWorks, Salem Trilogy, Album 15, Satanic Incorporated. And this is why we go to where we should get it is also in, oh, I know what to do. Save to playlist. Find the Rolling Stone. Rolling Stone, where are you? Look for the Rolling Stone. Find the Rolling Stone. There it is. Now, if we go back to the Aaron Studio playlist, hang on. If we go back to, sorry, we're still in kind of limbo here. We must now go to the playlist of all. And now we go to these playlists. And this is where it gets really intense because we entered so many rounds. Well, it's not exactly what I expected up here, but Oracles, Biblical Wizards of the Coast. Is that the one? Is that the one Bright Surface Day, or is it Rolling Stone? Yes, we now must take Vagabond Prince and retire it. We're retiring Vagabond Prince. So, if we go back to, this is the Rolling Stone logo. This is not something I'd accounted for on this episode. There's so many blitheringly, blithely wrong answers
going to another show. We need to go back. And if we find one again, where are you, Rolling Stone? Rolling Stone. There it is, now playing. I wonder if it's a KMSA thing too. All right. Then it is still working, the Rocky Horror Picture Show. Well, you know, Dungeon Master, as they say, we've come a long freaking way. And now if I can just, there's one more goal we have to do, and that's make sure that there is no episodical. We must find the mouse that has disappeared from the screen, the mouse. It is not wrecking up any registries. And we are losing Dungeon Master as the mouse fades. Mouse, where are you? Oh, mouse, come back to us. Mouse is back. Where did the mouse go? That was crazy. Now YouTube has a playlist of the freaking Rolling Stone. No, that's not what we want. We don't want any jump out of that. We want to go directly to the playlist, view for playlist. There we go. Now we're getting somewhere. Because if you look at this, there's the evolution of the Rolling Stone, the symbol, Rocky Horror Picture Show, and then we take out Vagabond Prince, remove, because we have now come across an album by the Dead Telluride that we would way rather keep, and it's right here. It's 15 Satanic Incorporated. Not that Vagabond Prince wasn't the most amazing one, and there are some in here that are singles, but most of them are the long-faced albums. And album 15 and 9 and album 19 are the best ones, and really, as though we do love all the time the Vagabond Prince is spent on this list, and Rolling Stone really enjoyed that one the best, but now that I'm recommending Satanic Incorporated, they'll probably enjoy that the best too, because I write for them. But that, we've done it all, we've seen it all, but we could get back a few more times of how we've been so set up by the dismal space and time of not being able to get things going. But I'm going to take a real chance here and wonder if we can, in fact, have something like a sequence, a dream-like command. We could almost have a boss battle. I don't think we'd beat this boss at all. I think this boss would be so intensely ahead of us that he'd crush us into thin ice and on thin ground. I think he'd smash us into little pieces and destroy us into little tiny, sanctioned out tiny little candies that were broken into and smashed and thrown off the side of a rickety hill, and then he'd spit on this candy and it would all dribble into mess, and just to look at him and children in the anarchistic dynasty. It's not anarchistic, it's anachronistic. It means that time comes back as you flow, and flow comes back at your time. So I'm giving you the extra Maynard sequence, which may have been filmed last night, may have been filmed years ago. I'm not saying anything about those recording processes. But if they're doing what they want to do and they're feeling what they want to feel, and we can't hear them, no, but It isn't a boss battle. It looks like Maynard's already killed the boss in this level and become a boss of his own. And it's just for us to admire and learn Dungeon Master skills from and dream about the Dungeon Master skills that this man on the Dungeon Master Guild must be like 14 or 13, maybe even higher. Because once you've become a Satanist and you've gotten real high on Dungeon Master and then gotten real high on the list of Dungeon Masters guilds, then the sky is the limit for what a Satanist can become. And you're always wanting to gain more and go further up the hierarchy, which isn't so easy because you're primitivizing your positive will to retract to the things of the sublime anyway, and that's what attracts us naturally to the positive will towards action and strength, which is a will to a power, which is really something we're all going to have to study our asses off. I could even tell you how Mein Kampf is a book that's, it's the confessions of Hitler while reading Triumph of the Will, and that he answered the questions so wonderfully. In Triumph of the Will. There's no paradigm that could ever erase the meaning of Mein Kampf in that film, Triumph of the Will. And so I think it's good how intellectual things get together and slowly become each other, and then there's no reason that you can't have one without the other in this particular case. So now that we've all figured that out, we're a little friendlier than the dude that played on the dome, man. I know I talk too much, but we're supposed to hear the music, and I know that wouldn't be licensed to us. We're on a menu, and Dungeon Master is on a time grip, and we've gone farther than our normally time grip, so we're not trying to psych you out. We'd never do that. You're way ahead of us, and you're our gods, and we stare at you, and I know the word God is not to be used around anyone who is, but I had to tell him that he was the God of everything eternal. And they really liked that. These are old videos, but they really liked that, so that's good. And that the band is going wild in here, and that there's totally a chance that these guys could be the greatest rock stars ever. Have we seen any emboldened stamps upon the dungeon, where we were lost on the stage below? Make no effort to say where the dungeon hath come, make no effort to say what below. And that there was a scratchy tape that everything was about to get an escape, and then they went wild with video drapes, and that was when everything went to the tape.
Insert tape 3.